Good morning. Hello.
Hi, how you doing?
Chloe's back. Thank God.
Or is it yay? It is yay.
It is yay, because I now have someone to have a conversation with. It's amazing.
Amazing,
It is.
amazing. Yes, sorry I ducked out.
Do not say sorry. Don't say sorry.
No.
Absolutely not. This is what we're about to talk about.
It's true. It's true. Although what we have just been catching up on is and the real reality of when we do duck out, or now I'm tinging. In terms of really when we get so overwhelmed with work and life that sometimes we choose that actually it's, we just don't have the capacity to show up in the ways we have been showing up that have been making us feel better and stay connected. And I know for me recently, I have been so busy that I haven't been showing up at my studio or here, and actually it's affected me in terms of being able to cope. And it's really, really interesting because we do tend to just firefight as women, but ultimately what we're doing is by firefighting we are actually putting our own fire out sometimes. Because I took on my studio, as you know, as we've talked about, because part of my needs as a creative and my passions and my strengths are in communicating and sharing and displaying and being part of the community and helping people and in the way that I can with my work. And actually that was the first thing that dropped off. And it's funny, isn't it? Because it's often those things that we really, really need are the first things that drop off. They are those times of the coffee with a friend, when finances get tight, it's the coffee with a friend, or it's the this time with our family, or we end up kind of circling into this spiral of I just need to keep working, I just need to keep working, I just need to keep working. I need to keep the house tidy. It's those things that I think are absolutely critical in terms of being able to thrive and being able to move forward and keep our business afloat. And I wonder whether now, because of social media, because of the electronic age, we're like, oh, well, we are staying connected because I am still talking to people through, off my phone and, all that sort of stuff. And yeah, and how did you find the conversations that you were recording on your own, and does any of that resonate?
Yeah, it does. So the first thing I want to say the thing that just kept popping into my mind as you were speaking is the page in Remember that I wrote. You are the most important person in your life.
Mm.
And so it is about filling your own cup first.
Mm.
Going for that coffee with your friend. For you, it's going to the river and taking those beautiful photos, or going for a walk with your dog, or like filling your cup so that then you are, as we were talking about before we came on, you are able to take care of your business because you've taken care of yourself. And when, like you said, we have to cull things for all different reasons, that's when we're really unkind to ourselves, because we feel like we're failing we have to cancel the coffee with the girlfriend, or we, don't get to do the movement or do the health things that keep us mentally, physically, emotionally taken care of.
Mm.
And we get guilty and we get resentful and we get angry and depressed. And it's so important just to take care of us first. Even if it's like one breath.
Mm.
Sometimes that's all you need to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
So that, you can then take care of your business and take care of the kids and take care of the home and take care of the whatever. Because if we aren't in a healthy place, everything else seemingly falls down around us. And then that makes us feel worse. And that took a very depressive dive, didn't it? But I suppose that's the gap, and that's what we talk about. And then to answer your other question of when I was doing the podcast by myself, I missed you. I missed our conversation. I missed our catch-ups and our banter, because it's not just about recording for an audience. This is like therapy for me, because the way you and I can have a conversation, it kind of has a bit of a lasting effect on, it definitely has a bit of a lasting effect on me for like the rest of today. It gives me things to think about. It puts my attention on things we've talked about. It gives me motivation. And when I was recording by myself, I was bored. Well, you can probably tell in the recordings, I was like overthinking it, because I was like, the lead up to a podcast for me when I'm talking to you, I'm literally in the chair 15 minutes before, because I can't wait to have a chat, and I have my coffee and I pull a tarot card for us and I have the windows open, and it's like this whole ritual thing for me around our conversation. And it is almost feels like a form of like self-care and connecting, and and when I was by myself, I still did the same things. Like I had my coffee and, pulled a tarot card and whatever. But I was overthinking, like, what am I going to talk about? And what are the points that I want to talk about? And I don't want to leave too many gaps, because it'll be boring. And there wasn't the flow, like, and the banter, obviously, when we did that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like me with my business. There are so many things that buzz around my head, and I think part of the reason why I get really overwhelmed is that I try and keep them present in the forefront of my mind all the time, so I remember them.
Yeah.
And I guess this is, why a lot of us, particularly women, write lists, so we don't have to like keep them visible. And because I'm a visual everything, I will. If I'm going to go into the kitchen and make a coffee and think about making a coffee, I literally visualize myself walking into the kitchen and making a coffee. And so like everything gets here, and then I'm like, I really need to sit down and pour out of my head all the things that are in there, so I know, so I have this clarity. But when I do it on my own, like you say, I get bored, and I'm like, I just, it actually gets blocked.
Yeah.
Because, and then I get to do something else. I'm editing or I'm having a conversation with someone else, and then it like literally frees it up. And it's this ability to...
It's that verbal processing.
Yeah, exactly. And it's allowing your... I think for me, a lot of it is down to... a lot of it is the hope aspect. Which... when I'm talking to someone and connecting, hope lives.
Yeah.
And when I'm on my own, and I know, I feel it more than ever being on my own and solo parenting, and now in the process of, and the marriage breakup and all of that sort of stuff, I feel the weight of the narrative of you have to love yourself first.
Is that what you wanted to say to me 10 minutes ago? 8 minutes ago?
No. No. There's a fellow people who are, men and women who are solo parenting or on their own at our age. And, and someone says, oh, well, I'm really happy on my own, but it would be nicer to have someone with, but, yeah, I'm existing on my own, but, we're not designed to be on our own.
No.
We're born into a family. We are raised in a family of connection and love, and we go to school and we join clubs and we do hobbies and we do sports to be with other people. And yet there's this kind of like, it's actually, you have to be able to be happy on your own to be able to have a healthy relationship. I just don't really understand.
Yeah.
That's a bit like, someone saying to me, to be a photographer, you kind of, have to be able to be happy to do it on your own. Well, it's not about that. Like, I pick up a camera to have a connection with a subject, with a person, with, an actor doesn't act to do it in a mirror. A singer doesn't sing to, sing to themselves. A chef doesn't create beautiful recipes to feed themselves. Why, as human beings, as women who are pure nurturers, and I remember watching Adeline at less than 1 year old, picking up a baby and cradling it in her like a doll, and cradling it in her arms so naturally. And yet there's this, but also as women, we kind of have screwed ourselves, because it's like, this whole independence from the dominating male and the unfairness, and yet that by default has severed us from, needing the okayness to need and to be supported and to be loved and to be cared for and to be, while we're trying to thrive.
Yep.
And I think that that's totally where over Easter, I fell into a desperate dark hole. And because I'm really in this state of, I have all of these capabilities work-wise, I have all these capabilities, creating art, running a business, but I am, solo parenting, which I can do, but by doing all of the other things, because, it's this doing it on your own. And then you have to, you feel like, I have to be able to be nailing this on my own before I can even think about having anyone, it's just it's just added so much to our plate of, that's already full and already really, really heavy.
Yeah. This is going to be really controversial, and I'm sure the feminists will want to come out and punch me in the face, but the last 3 months, when I never kind of gave up work. I did mat leave, and I loved earning money, and I thought I was doing the right thing by doing shift work so that I was at work in the afternoon, Scott was at work in the morning, the kids never had to go to daycare. They always had someone around them that they loved, like me or my mum or Scott. I thought that was the best thing at the time. Except I was sending myself literally mental because I wasn't sleeping. Yeah. Because I would get home at midnight, the boys would be up at 5 o'clock in the morning, like maybe I was getting like 4 or 5 hours sleep every day, not eating properly because I'm too tired, living off coffee, not sleeping at all when there was something on at the school because I wanted to be the really good mum who showed up at the school, who volunteered to do the reading, who took the times on, you know, cross country day, who, you know, like wanted to be the mum that was there, who thought she always had to work, to go out to work, to, you know, fulfill that side of me.
Mm.
And I've had the last nearly 4 months, 4 months off. The satisfaction of being the wife and the mother at home, taking care of myself, actually getting sleep, taking care of my health,
Mm.
the change in my own body and my own health from actually eating properly
Mm.
is actually, it's ridiculous. Because when I was on shift work, I would eat when I could, literally lived off coffee, maybe would eat dinner at some point during the shift, the night. Now I'm eating 3 proper meals a day. I have energy. I'm loving being here for my family.
Mm.
And I know that sounds weird because I've always been here.
Mm.
Because I was on shift work, there would be in parts of my roster, I actually wouldn't see Scott for 5 days. I would go to bed, he would be in bed, he would go to work, I would be asleep. Like, we were in the same bed, I would hear him shuffling about, he would probably hear me shuffling about at midnight. We wouldn't see each other. We lived off text messages, which in a marriage, that's not great because you can't get your context across properly, especially in raising children.
Mm.
And when it was really, really hard, when Jack was a nightmare teenager, it was really, really hard. And Scott and I were talking about it. We were talking about it on the weekend, actually. I was like, I don't even know how we got through that together. Like, I don't know how we got through that. That was...
It's difficult to visualize how you got it through it.
I don't know. I actually don't know because I was so depressed and Scott was so angry that I think maybe we got through because maybe we didn't see each other.
Yeah.
And we were just living in this like survival mode of you do what you can do.
Mm.
And the last 4 months of me being at home, it's changed all of the relationships around me. Because, and not just with Scott and the boys, with myself.
Yeah.
And it's like this inner, like, I actually feel more feminine and feminist or empowered being here, taking care of everyone, knowing that I'm taking care of myself, I'm able to be here for my family. You know, like I had 5 hours coffee with a friend yesterday, and that alone overflowed my cup. And I mean, it's not like I have 5 hours of coffee every week or even every month, but that alone, like that opportunity to just be with another, like, beautiful, deep friendship, to be able to be here to support family that are going through stuff. Yeah. Instead of going, oh, I've got to go to work, or, oh, I'll see if I can get the day off, and having to justify then to my work why I need the day off so that I can support my family. And now creating and running my own, creating my own business and building it up so that it is financially sustainable, and getting to choose how I do that. Like, I get to choose all that. And it actually does feel more empowering. I think because I'm coming at it from a healthier perspective. Like, I know if I was still at the hospital, still doing shift work, I wouldn't be in the state of mind that I'm in now.
Yeah.
And even though there is a lot going on, like everyone, a lot's going on in the family, a lot's going on with different, things that everyone has all the time, it has made such a difference to have that opportunity to feel healthy and feel awake and aware.
Yeah. Yeah.
Instead of just trying to just eke through like
Yeah.
one half step at a time.
Yeah. But isn't the definition of a feminist
Choice.
It's choice and fairness?
Mm.
It's not about women ruling. It's not about women doing everything. It's not about, but it's that ability to, and it's that acknowledgement really of seeing life and all the things that need to happen in life as, the thing is that definition of work, because that definition of work is for in many ways is like, okay, well, it's where it's work is something you go and do for someone else or for, whether it's a client or whatever, for money. Whereas a life's work, you get up in the morning and feeding your children, but then making the bed, making the lunches, making sure there's toilet roll, making sure that there are bin liners, and making, and hoovering and making and lighting the fire, and all of that is equivalent to work. I remember when we were up on the up in Cattle Creek at the farm, and James said, "Oh, the accountant has just been on the phone, and we've been talking about, when this happens, blah blah blah." And he said, the accountant asked if I worked on the farm, and James said, "Oh yeah, she's out feeding the lambs right now." And so he's like, "Oh well, that's great. Then we can offset her earnings against, because then she's basically working on the farm." And I, and he said this, and I was sitting next to him on the sofa, and I just didn't really say anything. And then it was like
rage.
So I said, so basically, if I hadn't been feeding the lambs, would I not be considered as working on the farm? And he was like, no, not for tax purposes. I was like, well, that's the issue.
Yeah.
That's the issue, because the relative, I was like, you can't do what you do without me doing what I do. You couldn't get up at 6 a.m., go into the clean kitchen and make yourself a coffee and get milk out of the fridge and then go to work and then come back at lunchtime and basically do the same, have some lunch, work again, come back at dinner time, eat, and then get into a clean bed and have a clean shower and then put on clean, I was just like, all of those things enable you to do your job. But yet that's all, and also me taking care of the children and, and not having any of that on your plate. And that, and I think this is where we get so overwhelmed, because we are constantly going, well, that's just part of. And then this is the work. This is the, and this is, but the value of a life incorporates all of that stuff, including relationship and connection time.
And it has actually been I think the thing that has made the most difference to my confidence and my thoughts around this is, so Scott, because I have worked in the afternoons the whole of our children's lives, I always had dinner ready for when they got home, or if I didn't, it would be a really simple dinner that he could just throw together. However, our boys always played sport. I always did the washing in the morning, and then he'd have to take it off in the afternoon. And so when I started staying home, every single night now, it's this overwhelming gratitude from Scott that literally I can feel his energy of gratitude. And I think even sometimes he's almost been brought to tears because he does a very physical job. And he says to me every single night, without fail, I love having you home. He's like, to come home to a beautiful wife, a beautiful meal, to have everything done and just be able to walk in. He's like, we've never experienced this before. And his gratitude, when he first started, I thought he was joking, when he first started.
Yeah.
And he got a bit offended because I'm like, oh, yeah. And he's like, no, it was really hard when you weren't here. And it was just the boys and I. Because he's like me, he wouldn't just leave the clothes on the line. And after dinner, the kitchen's clean, the floors are swept, everything's spick and span. And he was always like that. He works a 12-hour day, then he'd go to training with the boys, then they'd come home and have dinner. And it might be 9, 10 o'clock by the time he actually turns the light out in the kitchen, goes to bed, then has to get up at 5 o'clock and do it all again. And he's like, no, you don't understand, how grateful I am to now get home at 6 o'clock at night and not have to cook dinner and not have to take the clothes off one and not have to clean the kitchen. And he's like, for 23 years, it's been really hard not having you here. And he goes, and not even just for the jobs. He's like, I love seeing you. And he's like, and I want to be at the dinner table with you, because that was one of my goals in my business, was to have dinner with my family, because I was never here for dinner with boys ever.
Yeah.
Well, I was on my days off, but majority of the time I was at work. And he's like, and just to be able to sit and talk about my day and just be with you.
Yeah. Well, and that's really interesting, because when we were all together as a family, we used to eat meals at the table, and we've stopped. And it's mostly, it's down to me, right?
Yeah.
I'm the one that needs to instigate it. But I don't, the kids don't talk to each other, and I don't, and they don't really want to sit there. And so I'm like, do you know what? It's just actually too hard. And I don't want to have to sit around a table where for me, there is an empty place. And I think that, and that is definitely massively affecting our individual relationships with each other, the three of us. And I know that, and I'm massively aware of where the tweaks are that could happen that would shift things. But again, it comes down to the work on me to make it happen. As somebody said to me yesterday, he's like, you really need to find some balance in your life. And that, and I was like, good, give me something else to do. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's like, honest to God, I've been talking to a life coach, and, which has been great. And she's like, oh, maybe think about this and do this. And I'm like, again, something else.
I have to.
God.
We were talking about lists before. Add it to the list.
I'll just add it to the list. I just, but I think, and I love hearing what you're saying. And I know it's like the darkest time for you right now with so many elements, but maybe even just saying out loud all of the things that you just said it's that reminder to not only you, but also to Scott, who potentially is saying, you know, maybe think about the work situation, etc., etc. But it's that really that real sitting back and going, but that was our reality and this is our reality. And potentially, you know, what do we then have to give up to make that, you know, that I have massive desires to go back to England. Understandably, I have people there, I have friends there, I have work connections coming out of my ears there. I have family there, and I the other night I had a dream where I went back to England and I caught up with my best friend, and then we were in her house, which was really amazing. It was like right by the river in London, but it wasn't. It was like anyway, dreams. But that's not where she lives. And then all my school friends just kept filing through the door, and she'd organized this get together, and I started crying, and I literally was ugly, sobbing, couldn't breathe, crying. I had a cold at the time, so maybe that's what was triggering it, because obviously I'm talking about a dream here. But I literally woke up because I couldn't breathe because I was crying so much about being in England and being with people that, you know, but I've practically looked at what it means to go there, what it means to give up here, what it means in terms of my animals, in terms of the work that I've worked hard to build here, the life that I love here, the friends that I've made here, the connections of my children, like all of those things. And it's like, well, actually, it's not happening, and it's not, you know, but it is that, and it's, we haven't really talked about anything specific today.
Well, I think what we've talked about is being aware of where we are right now.
Yeah.
And are we taking care of ourselves? Are we listening to our intuition?
Yeah.
Are we just trying to get through the best way we know how?
Yeah.
And, you know, sometimes that's all you can do.
Yeah.
And, you know, as we were talking about before, because it's 35 minutes now, as we were talking about before we started recording, we as women feel like we need to take care of everything. And sometimes taking care of everything means, as you said, really culling down, really refining, really just going, this one thing is all I can take care of at the moment. And I will pick everything else up.
Yeah.
But at the moment, for my mental, emotional, financial, everything health, I have to cull and take care of this.
Yeah.
And that's it.
And I think it's really good. It's really important that we maybe, one thing that I'm feeling at the moment is managing the expectations of others in terms of whether they're clients, whether they're friends, whether they're whatever, and just going, actually, you know, a lot of people keep telling me how amazing I'm doing. And I'm like, there's part of me that I need you to stop telling me I'm doing amazing, because I am so spread thin and so tired and so, yes, I'm doing it. This isn't what amazing is.
When I know I say that to you a lot, and in my mind, when I say that to you, or I say it literally to any woman that I love, I will always tell them they're amazing because they're alive.
Yeah. And I guess also I think maybe that word, I often think about the word amazing because we always, you know, it's so overused, but it's to amaze. And I think that's what I often think is like, you know, I was messaging someone yesterday and I said, And I actually was out for a walk with my dog, and I was looking at the light, and I was like, actually, the reality is that anyone else not anyone, lots of people who would be in the same situation as me would probably be at the bottom of a gin bottle.
Yep.
And it amazes myself that I'm not, particularly with my family history.
And I think that's a really beautiful awareness of what you just said. Like, we can, like I was saying before, having a marriage through text messages. And in this world of, we feel like we connect with people on the internet, on Instagram, through DMs, through email, whatever. Sometimes we don't get the context and the love with which it is sent.
Yeah.
And, we can read those messages and be like, you have no fucking clue what I'm going through. Yep, I'm there, and I'm on, and I'm promoting my shit, and I'm trying to make an income, and I look great, and you're telling me how amazing I am.
Yep.
I don't feel it.
Yep.
But that's up to us to be able to filter and go, yep. I have my core people that know what's going on.
Yeah.
That support me. And the lovely people, the community that I have built in this internet space, they see what I show them.
Yeah.
And so I may look amazing to them. And I don't know what's going on in their life. And maybe the conversation I'm having or what I'm sharing does inspire them, does motivate them. And so they're telling me, you're amazing. And that's kind of their thank you. And that's for us to filter through our own emotional storm, and just kind of remember that although we feel like we share and we share and we share, there really is for myself anyway, a very limited amount of people that know truly everything that's going on.
Yeah.
And so, and it's the same when I, reach out to you or reach out to anyone, and, occasionally I will just message a girlfriend and go, I think you're amazing. And it's because, like you said, they're not in the bottom of a bottle. They're getting through the best way they know how, and they're alive, and while your heart's still beating and you've got breath in your lungs, you have opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
So I will continue to tell you you're amazing. And take that as you will.
I feel like such a bitch now. Don't tell me I'm amazing. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's funny, sometimes when I'm texting, or if I've left a voice message to someone on the internet, like someone asked me to do a masterclass the other day, and we occasionally chat and, message or whatever. Anyway, I left her a voice message and I nearly said, okay, love you, bye. I quite often do that. Like if I'm leaving a voice message or if I'm texting.
Yeah.
I've occasionally texted, okay, love you, bye.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh shit, I didn't mean to sound creepy. It just came out.
I've started doing that. I've got a friend that sent me some things and I'm like, oh, I love you. Oh, funny. Right.
All right, we better
hopefully this recorded.
I know. We're gonna have.
We'll talk about photography next week, maybe.
Yeah. That's what the conversations are, though.
Yeah.
And it's our podcast, so.
Yeah. And it's our gap of.
Yep.
Because it is about photography. Because it is about work, and it's about. Yeah. Endeavour.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it. We're going to go.
Okay. Take care.
Right. Love you.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.